Y'all come on in. I'm trying to get the other feed up. If you would just bear with me 1 second here. We are working on this feed. Alright, so 1 second here, y'all. I'm not sure what's going on with this Wi-Fi. We'll go fix it. All right, so late night, man. I'm tired. I'm beat, but I'm here. All right, I'm in the building because we got some stuff we need to talk about. And what's going on, Brother Carson? Yeah, y'all over here on the tubes. That lets me know that you people are plugged in, that you can get over here on the tube and get this live. So I got some stuff, man, I want to talk about. Good evening, Miss Brown, Miss K. Denise, Miss Kathy O'Quinn, Sharita Scott, and Miss Jones. Good evening to all you ladies. So, wait a minute here. We're going to try this one more time for those out there on Facebook, because I know they go scream if they don't be able to log into this live. Right, so try this one more time. I'm not sure what's going on with my Wi-Fi. For some reason, keeps trying to connect to an unsecured network. Right, but we got some news tonight dealing with Dr. Green. Yeah, I know it's freezing on Facebook, y'all. Hold on. Let me get y'all. One way or another, I'm going to get y'all in here. How about that? How about that? How about I won't be defeated? All right, so, hey, we'll do it this way. Hey, now watch this. Bitch, I get y'all in here one way or another. One way or another, I get the book in, all right? So we on the book, we're on YouTube, and we are also on, right now, we are also on TikTok, all right? So we're on the book, we're on YouTube, and we're on TikTok. I'm not sure what's going on with the Mevo camera, so I had to come to y'all like this. So we got some information about Dr. Cedric Green. Okay. Dr. Green is a superintendent that came to us from by way of Oklahoma, right? And Dr. Green came in here under great suspicion by those of us that had did our homework, okay? I want to say that former mayoral candidate Patty Patterson did her homework. I did my homework. Others who I know, Attorney Lisa Ross did her homework, and others that I know that understand the importance of education. They understand the decline of how JPS has declined, how this educational system has failed and is continuing to fail, right? Dr. Green came to Jackson, Mississippi under this scope, and I'm going to blame my friend, the mayor. He is going to take the brunt of this because he did not do a thorough investigation, and more so, it almost appears that he did no investigation. But Dr. Green came here under this scope as if he was going to save JPS. I want y'all to listen to me tonight because this is very important. And the positioning of Dr. Green has long-lasting effects on this community. I don't think many of you get it. I don't think you really understand the importance of quality education. I don't know how many of you are civic-minded enough to know that the polluting of a district, the polluting of a superintendent into a school district is catastrophic to, one, the quality of life for African American children, two, to the quality of life for all African American people in this city, because strong public schools build a strong tax base. Public school is the number one tool for building your community. When you have strong public schools, it usually matriculates out to the community. The quality of life is different, tax base is different, the community is different, life itself is generally different when there is a strong public school system. When you look at Madison, when you look at Ridgeland, when you look at Northwest Rankin, when you look at Brandon, when you look at Clinton, when you look at Pearl, the common denominator is they all have strong public schools. Some to the point that even their athletic side of the school boosters and produces money to the point where they can pay for $4 and $5 million football fields. So we those of us that are civic minded, those of us that have lived here long enough, and those of us that know the importance of strong public schools, did our homework on Dr. Green. We knew prior to Dr. Green coming in that he came with not the proper credentials. He had never been over a district the size of JPS. The largest job that he had ever had was one in which he was a manager, not a superintendent, but more so like a liaison, a manager for 3 elementary charter schools, or maybe it was 4. Let me give him his props. So maybe it was 4. So Dr. Green appears on the scene of Jackson, Mississippi. The school board interviews him. He comes as a recommendation from former governor, to my understanding, Bryant, and MED Superintendent Miss Carrie Wright, and as well as the mayor. Now I'm gonna talk to the mayor in the morning and ask and get further information on it. So I don't want to hit too hard on that. But I do remember that in the beginning he had a hand in saving JPS, so he said, from a district takeover. But what many people fail to understand is that Dr. Green and all of those that supported him were part of a more diabolical plot to destroy this community, to destroy the quality of education in this community, and to use the salary and all of the perks to further promote himself rather than the children of Jackson, Mississippi. And it's even more disturbing that all of the teachers and all of the principals in JPS and all of the administrative leaders in JPS, the board and all of these people, it is more disturbing that they didn't do a thorough investigation, or maybe they also are part of this diabolical plot to disenfranchise and to genderify JPS as you would a community. And somebody says, well, how do you say that, Polo? Well, I'm glad you asked. All right. So an investigation into Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what Dr. Green was doing, why in Tulsa. Well, let me tell you what he did in Tulsa. And we know the story of Tulsa, right? We are familiar with Tulsa, Oklahoma, and its great part of history in African-American progression. Well, let me tell you what Dr. Green did while in Tulsa. Dr. Green was part of a board academy school closure. Let that just sink in. He sat on the board of a board academy school closure board. In other words, what I'm saying is Dr. Green was part of a board that specialized, listen to me, in closing African American schools in poverty-stricken areas, in areas where education would reign supreme. If you poverty-stricken, if you wake up in the morning and your stomach is empty because you living on federal assistance, or your mama ain't been home, and you coming up in a single family where there's more than one of y'all, and we know these situations exist in Jackson, Mississippi. They exist in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They exist in Baltimore, Maryland. They exist in Trenton, New Jersey. They exist in Virginia. Dr. Green's group studied the African American community. They studied the schools in poverty-stricken African American community, and they sought ways to close those schools down. It was part of a board. a diabolical, a agent within itself that would create havoc in African American communities down the line. Because when there is no quality education, when children are not learning how to be productive, when children are not learning how to be strong, when children are not learning how to make sound decisions, when children are not learning STEM, Jackson, Mississippi, the capital city, doesn't have a STEM school. Now, all of a sudden, since we've been talking about STEM, they're talking about an after-school STEM program. But Jackson, Mississippi should have a STEM school. And I haven't even started talking about the fact that the CDC don't have proper bathrooms and young ladies have to go outside to use the bathroom at the Career Development Center and so forth. I haven't even gotten to that yet. But Dr. Green came here under the disguise as this so-called savior of the district because it was possibly to be taken by the state, in which it should have been. All right. In 2019, 3 schools were closed in Tulsa's historically Black community: Penn, Gilcrease Elementary Schools, and the ECDC Bunch School. Around this time, Dr. Green sat on the board academy. By 2020, 5 more schools were recommended for closure by Tulsa's board academy training. Superintendent, now most of those ended up being charter schools. So Dr. Green, listen to this, sat on a board that sought ways to close public schools and then be paid under the table to turn around and open charter schools. Now, many of you might not understand how important this is, because with every charter school you open, you take money away from public schools. And this is what bothers me, because I'm seeing all of these people, and like I told the crazy lady the other day that's running for sheriff, Beverly Williams, that was bragging about she from 833. And like Kenneth Stokes and all the other, Ken Wilson ran for sheriff, ran for mayor. I'm from the 833. All of that. You hear all of that foolishness about the schools that these African-American people graduated from or want to claim. But you never hear them advocating for the problems that these so-called alma maters they so love are faced with. You never hear them advocating against people like Dr. Green. You never hear them advocating again for quality education at the 833. You don't even hear them advocating for what goes on around the school. You never see them there at the school, standing in, participating, none of that. And Dr. Green comes to this community and closes 9 schools, maybe 11 if I'm right at this point. And not one word from the educators of this community, not one word from the alumni of JPS, or not one word from the teachers union or the teachers and principals that are products of JPS and know that what he is doing is detrimental to this community. Or maybe they don't know. Maybe they are the teachers and the principals that are only concerned about a check, like Dr. Green. Maybe these principals and teachers that we have in JPS, maybe they're only concerned about a check. They're not concerned about your child. Maybe that's all they're concerned about. And I would hold that theory to be true, because you don't even see any teachers or any principals putting up any fight against Dr. Green or the rest of this administration and the travesty that is happening to JPS children under this watch. Matter of fact, Dr. Green sat on the board also that was part of the search committee that searched for him. So this guy also sat on the board of the search committee that was the committee that was seeking a superintendent. Now, people, I'm not sure if y'all understand a level of corruption. I'm not sure if you understand some of these young men, many of them that I will not graduate. We know that. We know the dropout rate for African American men in this community is unreal. And so this is what you got to think about. People say, well, crime. It's so much crime. It's so much crime. Oh, it's so much crime. But you have a system called JPS, a school system, that is being ran by a criminal. And rather you say he hasn't committed a crime, Polo, oh yes, he has. He's committed a crime. He's plotted against the children of our community. If you don't think that's criminal, what is? What is when and he's done it because this community, number one, a large scale of apathy. You people just slow. Let's just be honest. That's why this platform is so important to you, because it's going to teach you. Most of you African American people in this community are just slow. Let's just be honest about it. And you don't look deep at a situation like this one. And I guarantee you, this could not happen in Madison. It couldn't happen in Rankin County among white conservatives. It couldn't happen in Brandon. It couldn't happen in Clinton among conservatives and liberals. So you begin to ask yourself, well, how does it happen in Jackson, Mississippi, among Black liberals who have college degrees, doctoral degrees, PhD degrees? And your children are part of a diabolical plot to rob them of quality education. And so at 18, 19 years old, 17, 18 years old, they graduate, have not been challenged in the classroom, not challenged in the hallways, not challenged at graduation, not challenged at all. So many of them graduate and say, well, I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't going to college right now because they ain't been challenged. And so when you talk about the crime and people talk about poverty, this is why I hung up on a couple of people on the show the other day. When you talk about crime and poverty, it's not the poverty of the money that is the direct correlation to the crime. It is the poverty of one's mind, because before you are broke physically, you are already broke mentally. And so JPS produces nothing. It is not, JPS is operating in a criminal element. It's not preparing our children to be successful. All right? It is not teaching them civic-minded duties and how to be. So the 17 or 18-year-old boy that graduates and it has not been challenged for the 3 years, the 4 years, the 5 years he's been in school, however, he graduates, and rather than pick up a job, he picks up a Draco. Rather than go somewhere and work for $12, $14, $15 an hour like Continental Tire or Nissan, with no experience, he'll sit back and say, I'm not working for that. That ain't enough money. But he'll go take a chance and sell a $20 rock and risk 20 years in the penitentiary. Because the system that y'all were talking about is not the system itself. That is not the system itself. It's not a systematic racism. It's systematic Negroes that don't have the systematic ability to think. It's the Negroes in these communities that are sitting by letting a Dr. Green function in this community. It's your fault. It's your fault that it's 170 murders. Everybody on this screen tonight, it's your fault. How does Dr. Green come here and the citizens of Hinds County and Jackson, Mississippi pay him almost a half of, no, wait a minute, right at $225,000, not counting his perks, a year to close schools, to have a dropout rate that supersedes the national rate, to have children that graduate that don't even know the importance of voting. Now you tell me, Pete, how we gonna get ahead when the school system itself that is ran by African Americans, ain't no white people running our school system. It is ran by African American people. So how you gonna get ahead when you're producing year after year failures? And I know somebody said, well, what about the few that graduate and the few that go, well, tell me what they doing. I tell you what, take an assessment of the last 8 years of the graduates of JPS and show me great accomplishments out of, I'll say 30% of them. Show me what they're doing. And then I tell you what, take the same number of students from Madison Central, Northwest Rankin, Brandon, and Clinton, and I guarantee you that the ones that graduated from them schools are more productive, making more money, got better jobs, and are doing better things community-wide, financial-wise, than those that graduated from JPS. Take the teachers of JPS. Take the teachers of JPS and line them up against the teachers of Madison, Rankin County, Clinton, Brandon. If we could do a hidden camera video, I guarantee you that the style of teaching, the quality of teaching at Northwest Rankin, Madison, Brandon, Pearl, and Clinton is at a far greater level than the teaching at JPS. And watch this. All of them take the same test to be teachers. Every one of them got to take the same Pyrex test to be a teacher. The mindset is different in those schools. The requirements and what is required of teachers and principals are different in those schools. Why? Because it's different in their community. It's different from their superintendent. The community, the parents of the community, the churches of the community, they demand more out of their superintendent. They demand the best out of their public school system. The Negro always want to look good. He always want to have on the flyest clothes. The Negro always want to be, she always want to have on the nicest outfit. She always want to have the best weave in her hair. He always want to have the nicest gold around his neck. But the one thing that the Negro never talks about what he wants to have is the best education. You don't hear Negroes promoting that. You don't even hear Negroes promoting that to their own children, let alone themselves. You never hear the Negro talking about, I want to know more than the next person. I want to be a little bit sharper than the next person. So JPS is a direct correlation to the crime. Somebody says, well, how you know, Polo? I did my homework. Half of the young men that have been slayed in the streets this year were products of JPS. Many didn't graduate, and some graduated and didn't do anything after graduation. Some of them are your family members. And some of that's all we want. For some of us, that's all we want our kids. Oh, you just got to graduate. No, you got to graduate. You got to be responsible. You got to live. You don't just graduate. You got to get a job. You got to be productive. If you don't go to college, you got to go get a trade. But it shouldn't be a requirement to just graduate, because we see that ain't good enough. Graduate and go get a gun. That's what they doing. And some of them ain't even waiting to graduation to get a gun. That's because nothing is being taught in the school. Even if it's not being taught in the home, and I know parents got to take a lot of the responsibility, but the school place, knowing that what it's faced with every day in this community, knowing what this community is faced with every day, the teachers, the superintendents, and the principals, it should be an everyday push. You can't let up on African American children. It should be an everyday push to curb violence through education. Folks with sense ain't riding around with 223s and assault rifles and Dracos and guns and syrup and meth and ice and heroin. Folks with sense. So you got to be able to say it. So the children that are doing this, and people say, well, it's no, it's because they have no sense. People with sense don't do foolish things. But if the one institution that should be promoting sense has been bought out by a known homosexual, and I don't care nothing about nobody getting in their feelings about what I'm about to say. The fact that Dr. Green wants to be married to a man should send off a light in our head that something is psychologically wrong with him. And if something is psychologically wrong with you, the fact that you want to be married to a man, how can you even create a program or be concerned about the meticulation and the greater quality of life, especially African American men, but for African American children, period? And that's why you can sit on a board and be part of a system that seeks to close down schools. Don't y'all get it now? This man likes men. He's not concerned about men becoming real men. Matter of fact, he likes men. And see, black people, y'all got to get to the point where you go stand for something, or you gonna fall for anything. So when you talk about crime, look at Dr. Green. Because Dr. Green has a system that is conducive for producing criminals called JPS. Matter of fact, to any real man, it's a crime that he's even over our district. That's criminal all by itself. That's a crime committed on black men in this city alone, all by itself. What role model are you for another African American male? You tell me. And in my understanding, you the bottom guy. So what kind of role model can you be for us as African American men when you want another African American man to penetrate you in your behind? What kind of role model can you be? And you come into our community and destroy the one institution that is designed to educate us, to make us make sound decisions. Black men ought to be making sound decisions. It's 2021. How you gonna make a sound decision and the man you got over all your children can't make a sound enough decision about his sexuality? That's crazy. He don't care about himself. He don't love himself enough. How you gonna love on our children? Our people got it messed up out here. How can he love on our children when he don't love himself enough? I'm listening. The one institution that is a direct correlation for a greater tax base, for a greater quality of life, The one institution that catapults you into the workforce of America to be productive? School. Public school. It used to be a place where we would go. I remember being in public school. I remember being bused from presidential years all the way to Clinton. And from there, we went to John Hopkins. Matter of fact, we were the first group of folks to walk in John Hopkins. It was brand spanking new. And I don't care what kind of family you came from, you was going to get an education in JPS. There was a standard. There was a community. You had Buddy Bounds, Mr. Gentry, Dr. Buckley, Dr. Fortenberry, Miss Hatchett, Mr. Stusky, Miss Hilliard, Miss Jackson, white and black, conservatives and Democrats, all on the same page, that children were the number one source. Look around now. 85% of the children that have been gunned down in the streets of Jackson, Mississippi this year, products of JPS. That's sad. That's sad. I mean, they didn't learn that. Dr. Green was part of a board that specialized in closing schools. The Tulsa Board of Academy. They sought to train superintendents on how to close schools in African American communities. They conspired and they colluded. And Dr. Green came here on the premises to do one thing: destroy public education. Jackson JPS Board of Trustees haven't said a word. Every one of them should be done away with immediately. Everybody on the Board of Trustees at JPS should be done with immediately. It should be an outcry in this community. Dr. Green should be fired immediately. He doesn't even have the proper certification. They had to give him an extension. It is no way that Madison County white residents will stand by and let this happen. Matter of fact, Tate Reeves, Phil Brown, and nobody else would have gave such a terrible candidate to their district. because the white constituents of those cities would have raised holy hell. We must ask ourselves tonight, knowing that education is a direct correlation to crime, why are we sitting inside? Why are we sitting inside? It couldn't have happened nowhere else, so why are you accepting? Until we get serious as a community, shut the hell up about crime, shut the hell up about who ain't doing what, because until we as this community get serious, till you get serious enough to hold your pastor who takes your money on Sunday, who has your children in his congregation, who uses and parades them in front of y'all during Christmas and Easter programs, but won't go and challenge the school board, won't go and challenge Dr. Green. You ought to take your money and just give it to me. Yeah, y'all, I'm saying, see, what you giving your money to your pastor for? He ain't gonna fight for you. What you getting it to him for? What do you need a salary for? He ain't fighting for education. Oh, I know what it is. He gonna tell y'all you need to be saved, right? Oh, you got to get saved. You go get saved and get gunned down out here in the street by some fool that didn't get a quality education. He wants you saved, but you can't, you don't know nothing. You saved, but you can't save a dollar. Hello, somebody. I know saved folk broke right now. Saved but broke. How much sense do that make? You need an education. Even about the Bible. The Bible says all that getting, get an understanding. That's an education. And all that getting, get an understanding. That's an education. Dr. Green must go. Dr. Green must go. And anybody that supports him staying must go. They are a cancer to our community. They are a cancer to our community. We don't need corporates. We need commitments. We need men and women that are committing to raising the standard of quality education in Jackson, Mississippi. So that African American children can graduate from Provine, Lanier, Wingfield, Jim Hill, Callaway, Merle. They can graduate and know and feel proud about their level of education. They can know that I might have been raised in the hood, but I understand education. Now I gotta understand it. And all that I get an understanding. Education is an understanding. They know that I might have been raised in the hood, but if I continue my education, I ain't gotta stay there. Matter of fact, my education and my understanding tells me I don't need no Draco. I don't need no 223 to survive out here. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna be nowhere where I need one. I gotta understand it. I got an education. I'm gonna better myself. I'm gonna do different. I'm gonna think different. I'm gonna move different because I got an education. I got to understand it. I'm not a product of my environment. I'm a product of my thoughts. Dr. Green got to go. Now, I got rid of what you call it last time. I'm gonna get rid of Dr. Green. I'm gonna get rid of him. If it's the last thing I do, and I'm gonna get rid of everybody on that board that's supporting him. Anybody else that's supporting him, I'm gonna be coming down your road too. Dr. Green is a cancer. His policies and procedures are cancer. His lifestyle is a cancer. Somebody says, well, what does lifestyle got to do with it? It got a lot to do with it. It got a whole matter of fact, it got more to do with it than anything, you ask me. What kind of image are we setting for our children? Especially African American boys. You already got Lil Nas X talking about he having a baby shower. You got the other transvestite talking about you got a transgender talking about he looked better than real women. And then got mad when the women told him you sound great. At the end of the day, you still a boy. You got a transgender on social media having a whole tantrum talking about he looked better than a real woman. Stop it. You got the folks on Nickelodeon kissing. And you mean to tell me the African American community that has bled and died, been burned at the stakes, African American men that done been hung from trees because they were real men. You mean to tell me after all that they went through in 2021, this African American community will let this martini panty wearing person to come into our community and destroy the one fabric, the one institution that catapults people from poverty to progress? Education. Much as you people talk about education, the great quote of mine is a terrible thing to waste. And you mean to tell me we got a martini panty wearing man running our district, destroying our school systems, being a terrible image to our children, and we sit here in silence? Now, people, for real. That's more that. But if it was a white man that came in here and whooped one of y'all kids, y'all be talking about his racism, and your kid probably needed the whooping anyway. That's like the video y'all got out about the U.S. Marshal slapping the boy up in his face up in there. Get what? He probably needed it. He probably needed it. So what? He slapped him in his face. Get what? The U.S. Marshal, if you ain't doing nothing, the U.S. Marshal ain't at your house anyway. So either you involved in something you ain't got no business in. Everybody wants sympathy when your children are out here shooting guns, selling drugs, and all that. And then when the marshal handcuff him and slap him in the face, you should have slapped him in his face before the handcuffs got on. Slap him again. I don't care. Slap him again. Make him get somewhere and sit down. You see how he whine and holler? But you tough. You tough when you out here with these guns shooting up folks' houses. When y'all doing all this other stuff, y'all out here shooting people's houses up, shooting at 4 kids and all that. And then when the marshals come, y'all bow down like be tough. You want to be a killer, right? And keep that same energy when the marshal come. That's what you do. What's wrong then? You see, that's what I be trying to tell y'all. Y'all don't see that part. But then y'all be wanting to holler, call me, share this with. I don't care. Slap them again. I mean that. That's what these punks need, slapping. I'm just saying, if you can ride around the street and rain terror in the community, keep that same energy when law enforcement come looking for you. Don't be hollering mama then. Keep that same energy. Shoot at the police. Do all that same stuff you were doing in the neighborhood when you were causing havoc on poor black folks. Keep that same energy when them big white boys with that artillery come to your house. Don't run, don't cry, don't look for no help. Keep that same energy. Then fight them like you fighting your community. What? What y'all think? You get a pass? The Negroes don't get a pass. Everybody said, I don't care nothing about it. Period. Listen, I'm done with black ignorance. I'm done with black excuses. Black folks making excuses. Oh, this discrimination. Oh, this racist. Oh, this systematic. Oh, this poverty. Oh, no, Negro, it's you. It's you. So keep that same energy. That same energy when you out here terrorizing your community, stealing, breaking in folks' houses, folks that done worked hard for the little stuff that they got. Don't you be crying when the lawman come to your house. Keep the same energy, Negro. Fight them like you fighting your people. You don't want to go to the army. You Negroes won't go to the army and fight. You won't go to the Marines and fight. You won't go to Beirut and fight, but you'll fight amongst yourself. You'll fight other poor African-American folks like you. But then when the lawmen come there, you want some sympathy. Hey, man, we want you to see how they did. Man, I don't care. The law ain't there if you ain't breaking it. If you ain't breaking the law, you ain't involved in something, they ain't at your house. So guess what? If they slapped you and you were handcuffed, it was because something you did that you should have got slapped for before you got handcuffed. In other words, you've been getting away with some stuff, so you just got back what you deserve. You done robbed somebody. You done broken somebody's house. You done did something you ain't had no business doing and got away with it. So this ain't nothing but some get back. Well, y'all be acting like something. Oh, that's a violation of the Constitution. It was a violation of the folk right whose houses they were breaking in. What about their rights? What about their rights? What about that woman that went to work hard every day for the little stuff she had, and some punk ran up there and carjacked her and ran off with her stuff and ran up her credit card, all that. And then when the marshal go to their house and kick their door in and whoop their ass, y'all say, come on, what about her? What about that? What about her? Stop it, black people. See, when you get an understanding, you get an education, you won't have to worry about this stuff. If you had an education, you wouldn't be doing the stuff you're doing. If you had an education, you would have an understanding. So at the end of the day, it ain't about poverty. Because poverty don't make people pick up guns and do stupid stuff. It's people with no sense. It's people with no sense, no education, no understanding. Tomorrow night, I'm going to break down some cases dealing with Tyree Jones. We got several documents here And also, we're going to be dealing with Beverly Williams. Now, Beverly Williams is running for sheriff, right? Many of you might not remember the Starsky Red case. Starsky Red, a well-known drug dealer here in Jackson, ended up in a shootout with law enforcement and given almost 90 years in the federal penitentiary. But there's a lot of discrepancy that didn't come out during that case. And Beverly Williams was dead in the middle of it. You never hear her talk about it. We got it. So tomorrow, make sure you log in tomorrow night, man. We break it all down on Tyree Jones, his complaints at the time, all of the complaints leveled against him at JPD while he was there, as well as him sending nude photos of his male parts to his subordinates. All right, people, when these people talk about being the sheriff of this county and think that I'm gonna sit here and let them just act like they ain't never did nothing wrong, and the Negroes get up in front of the churches and all this stuff and talk about church, but they don't never talk about how they wrote back. Eric Walls, when he was a detective for JPD, wrote bad cases on several African-American men. Bad cases. Didn't find no dope. Couldn't strong arm the guys to get them to pay him off. Made up cases against them. See, that type of stuff I be talking about, and then y'all be sitting here talking about these people like they just pillars of the community. Like don't nobody know. Like don't nobody remember. Like everybody done forgot. Beverly Williams, we ain't forgot what you did to Stars and Red. I wanted you to come on the show the other day so I could have talked about it. You just didn't know. And I told you who I knew who knew you. Same way with Tyree Jones. Tyree Jones called me, asked me to take down that photo of him and his secretary, and I did. But Tyree, you got to think about that. You didn't care nothing about that when you were sleeping with him. And you were sleeping with it and being using your position of authority to manipulate the mind of your secretary. That didn't matter to you. But now that Lee died and you feel like it's a position, now all of a sudden you're a stand-up guy. Come on, man. Just keep it real. Keep it 100. And you know I know. Matter of fact, I got you and her on record talking to me about the situation. So people, let's just be honest. I'm telling you, I'm standing at the gate. I'm gonna be the vanguard of the community because I see nobody else gonna step up to the plate. So I got to do it. It ain't nothing personal. It's not anything personal. It's just what I got to do. It's what I got to do, man. We got to be vanguards of this community. So tomorrow night we gonna have a hell of a show. I'm not gonna be as selling as I am tonight because I'm tired, number one. And it's just tonight's show. You just need to hear. I don't need to raise my voice. I need y'all to know the seriousness of the atrocities that are being committed against us. Dr. Green was sent here to destroy the quality of education and has done so, and nobody has sounded the trumpet. It's unacceptable. All right? It's very unacceptable. And we got to do something about it. All right? And so we're going to be calling for this community to rally together for the removal of Dr. Green, as well as some of those board members down there. All right? And the mayor appointed them, and guess what? He get unappointed. All right, so hey, that's my guy. But guess what? Gonna do it part too. We go fix what needs to be fixed. All right. So hey man, y'all enjoy your night. And that's all I can tell you is we got a lot of work to do. All right. We got a lot of work to do. All right. And we ain't got no time to be playing, people. We don't have time to be playing. All right. So please, ma'am, please, sir, govern yourself accordingly. All right. When the war is won, we will be sure. Make sure you are following our page. We got it back. The original Cypher Voice page. Make sure you follow that page, man. We got that page back. They took all the followers and all the supporters, but we need to get it back to where it is. All right? No man, no weapon. Formed against, yes, glorious destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition enough. Justice for all, just ain't specific enough. Once I'm done, the spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots be on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. One day, when the glory comes, you'll be out. You'll be out. Oh, one day. War is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory. Now the war is over, victory is won. The fight on, it is every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of the crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the league of justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald eagle. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord. My eyes have seen the glory. One day, glory comes, you will be out. You will be out. Oh, one day, the war is won. We will be sure. We will be sure.
All I see is trouble in the streets. Just so far, just so far, still so far away. So far away. Just so far, still so far away. We are believers. Don't you see this bad poverty dying out? Oh, what's the sad? We're going down, down. I can't breathe. Travel so far, still so far away.